the vendor's reserve price was quite higher than the price range, and so it ended up getting passed in because it didn't sell because the vendors obviously wanted so much more than what the advertised price range was. Is that a common thing, or it's one of the loopholes that you mentioned?
Yeah, you'll see, so there'll be certain agents that are known for doing that. So low, set the quote range low, watch it low, no, set it low, watch it go.
Yeah.
Confuse a lot of the buyers.
Yeah.
And it depends what you're communicating to the buyers as well throughout the campaign. And then in fairness, sometimes it's the vendor that'll change on the day. So it'll be, okay, we're at $1 million, and then they wake up Saturday, no, we want 1.1. And it's like, we've communicated to the market this, and they can change legally.
Yeah.
That's one of the loopholes. So you can, but then sometimes it'll be the agent that'll, let's get as many people in. But the problem is, you get a lot of people there that can't actually buy it.
Yeah.
They can't afford, no matter how competitive they want to be.
Yeah.
They just can't even, they can't get the finance. So
but it's a good point, because I think a lot of people think the whole process is on the agent. But like you've just said, a lot of the time it's the vendors making, the final decision. It's their property that they sell. So it's not always on your shoulders. Yeah,
the vendor will ultimately have the say. I mean, we can guide them on where we think reserve should be. But at the end of the day, it's that, people are selling a home. It's 2.5 times a year that you'll buy or sell a home, roughly, for each person. So they get emotional on the day, and they just flip and flop and change, and you're dealing with all different types of people that you don't, until you get to a stressful situation, you don't know how they're going to act. A lot of the time as an agent, you're sort of dealing with a lot of emotions, and you've just got to try and be the one in the middle that shows reason and factual evidence.
Yeah. Well, with that, obviously, auctions, private sales, they're known. How do you choose, or how do you find off-market listings? And as a purchaser, how do you get access to them?
Yeah, it's a good question. Generally, I'll say off-market is a property that's not advertised on realestate.com.
Yeah.
There's a lot of off-market sites, but they have, very limited viewing compared to realestate.com. So we'll say if there's no board out the front and it's not on realestate.com.au, we'll class it as off-market. There's pros and cons, obviously. I always say you can't sell a secret.
Yeah.
But sometimes people want it to be a secret. They might be getting divorced, they might have a medical issue, they might not want people to know they're moving, and for whatever reason, people have their reasons. And then some people might just be thinking about selling, and they might just go, look, let's get a couple of people to look at it who are in the market for either this home, something around this size home or this area, and see what they think. Because you might get some feedback where someone will say, we think it's actually worth more, or we think it's worth a lot less, or you should paint the house, or every agent will do it differently. So to find what's off market is probably best dealing with a local agent.
Yeah.
So I've got buyers that will ring me and say, hey, have you got anything like this coming up? And I'll look through, generally you'll look through your appraisals you've done and go, oh yeah, this is similar, and you'll call them and say, hey Kath, I've got someone that's in the market for something that's similar to your home. Do you want them to come through? And that sort of might start the off-market campaign, and then it just generates the discussion.
So it's not just buyer advocates that work with agents to look at off-market listings. Like you've got contacts of purchasers that.
Yeah, I deal direct with buyers. So a buyer's advocate will specifically, try and find an off-market listing for a buyer, but we do the exact same thing. And just don't charge a fee.
How does somebody choose an agent? And then once they've chosen an agent, what's the process for the vendor to actually get to market and sell? Yeah,
so choosing an agent, you can meet lots of them if you've got a lot of time.
Yeah, which is the issue, that you've got too many choices.
Yeah, so I'd always say speak to a couple of people that you know have sold in the area. For one, and get their feedback. Speak, like friends are always good, because we generally get referred in a lot by sort of friends or family.
Yeah.
And you're not going to generally refer someone if they're going to do a bad job. Yeah. You've got to probably meet the person and speak to a friend, or see how you feel.
Yeah.
If you meet someone and there's something not quite right, because it's only maybe half an hour, just meet someone else, and always communicate back if you've got an issue as well, because there might be one little thing with an agent, and we'll find out a lot afterwards if we haven't secured a property. they'll say, oh, we didn't like this approach.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you could have just mentioned it and we've sorted it. But people are worried, and because of the stigma that, I'm going to camp out the front of their house until they sign the paperwork, which I have done.
Well, that's why you've got a tent in your car.
No, so they're just worried about being open because they're like, okay, if I say, and they might just say, like, I had one that said we want a female as a lead agent.
Yeah.
So I had a wig.
Yeah. Which areas do you specialise in? Are you just Melbourne?
Yeah, so Victoria we can list anywhere,
as
long as we've got the quality certification in Victoria. But specifically Bayside, the Bayside area was where I grew up, where we live, and if you get properties sort of all over Victoria, it becomes very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, just basically Bayside, but we'll work with anyone anywhere in Victoria.
And what is it about the Bayside area that you love working with?
It's funny because where we live now in Cheltenham, I was born in Mordialloc, which is about 5 kilometres from there, and I've always lived very close. But I'm just used to it, and I know the area well. The people are, generally pretty easygoing, and it's just comfortable. I haven't really lived many other places. I've travelled a lot around the world, but I've just stayed there because it's, I sort of know all the streets and know where to go.